So our next guest is Noga Erez. Hi, Noga. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much.
I'll give a brief intro. You are an Israeli singer, songwriter, and producer. You're based in TA in Tel Aviv, usually. You grew up in Israel and you studied composition, and you actually were part of quite a few groups and ensembles as a singer, percussionist, keyboardist. And then in 2017, you really earned critical acclaim for the album Off the Radar. And then you took your time and worked on the second album on Kids, and you released that last year in 2021. And that was also the album you've been touring with at the moment. And that's kind of what I want to dive in with. Like, how are you feeling with so much going on? From the outside, it feels like it's a crucial point in your career. You've been on that huge tour. I've seen the halls you've been playing. You opened for Florence and the Machine. So how are you feeling with everything going on?
I feel good. I feel great. I feel like it is a very crucial moment. I mean, but I don't know, maybe it's just like my way of looking at things. It's always like, this is so important. Everything is so important. I don't know. I mean, I felt like this tour, it was just, it went beyond our expectations.
How do you personally, for yourself, define making it or being successful? Is that the amount of records you sell? Is it the amount of people that show up at shows? Like, what is it that keeps you going when it comes to success, other than the music itself, the passion?
I mean, it's a combination of things. I feel like I feel, like the feeling of, I don't know if it's the feeling of success or like feeling content or satisfied. I've done something and I feel like it is a pleasing feeling for me. I only get that when I'm able to write something that I find to be good at the moment. I can wake up the next morning and feel like it's shit, but it's a very subtle and evasive feeling. It can escape very easily, but that is when I feel like, okay, I can continue to do what I'm doing. But then, besides that, and obviously just making good music is not enough, or making music that you find to be pleasing is not enough. I mean, the big question is like, what am I doing it for? And I feel like, I mean, when I was a young girl or a teenager, I used to listen to music and it will shift. I mean, I used to feel a shift in my state of being. I don't know, like emotionally, I could feel molecules changing in me, and that feeling is so strong and intense when you're young. And then it becomes harder and harder to find that feeling. Like when you hear something and you're like, okay, something really important just happened to me. And it still happens to me every now and then. Today, as an adult and as someone who's into, the craft of doing that. But if I'm able to do that to people in major numbers, and those numbers are large enough to sustain my attempts to continue and do that, I think that is how I would define success.
Yeah, no, I think I get that. And I mean, for me personally, the song End of the Road did that for me. That was like something happened in that moment. And I remember like where I was when I listened to it the first time and what my thoughts were. And like, it's so interesting that lyrics and song text can even like kind of change their meaning from like based on where you're standing when you're listening to it, right? So it's like it can change what it does to you, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
So, and like I can only imagine, and that's me listening to music, so I can only imagine how it is when you make that music and when you write the songs. And I'm thinking about something you said once, that songs are rarely created in the moment of like you're in the studio and like someone's kind of pressing a button and you like go. You're like doing it in small moments throughout the day, and they're often created in confusion and insecurities. That's what you said.
Yeah.
So how do you create? Like, what is your process? Do you have a muse? Are you the person with like a tiny little notebook on the bus, and whenever something happens to you, you write it down? Like, how does that happen?
I have like my Google Docs is full of lyric ideas.
Mhm.
I have one sheet over there that is song titles.
Mhm.
Somebody told me like a little over a year ago that it is good to just think about song titles. I don't know, and just try to start working from there. So I have like a shit ton, and none of them became a song as of now. I don't know, but I just keep collecting them. If I see something and it's like, okay, this is a song title. Here we go.
Mhm.
Voice memos in my phone is like probably the main tool.
Mhm.
I don't love the studio space. You know, some people are, Ori, for instance, my partner, I mean, he can just stay for hours at a studio, not get off the chair, not even go to pee or whatever, because this is kind of like how he's zoning.
Mhm.
It's not the case for me. For me, I'm just, I like to see movement around me, and being inside, four walls is not a creative thing for me. So I try to just document thoughts that could potentially become something.
Mhm.
And that is why I feel like, the good songs are usually not coming from sitting down at the studio and looking for things.
Mhm.
Usually when we do sit down at the studio, I would, take my phone out and look for things that I actually recorded while I was in a moment of reflecting on something and had that, I don't know, moment of just understanding something, or combining two things that you would not always think
Mhm.
are make sense together. I don't know. Because this is creativity. You just take a couple of things and put them together,
Oh yeah.
or more than a couple of things. So I don't know. That's the process. I feel like because you're asking it now, it's kind of like a different answer. I
Mhm.
mean, if we talked in, I don't know, 2-3 months, hopefully I will tell you that creativity is everywhere and everything,
Mhm.
because that is how I felt towards the end of working on kids. I
Mhm.
was at a deep state of like, as I said, like we would, I don't know, go to sleep very early, wake up very early, avoid any substances, just like have like a lifestyle that was so supportive of calmness, and by the time that we were like almost, I don't know, a month into, like almost finishing the album, I felt like everything was creativity. Like I could see the world in a way that I could just grab, like it's like a grocery store. I could
Mhm.
just grab, everything was an idea to me. I really hope to be in that state again, because it's good. It feels really good.
I can't help. I always hear like industry baby in the background, because I like to think of the song text and the lyrics as kind of like defiant. The music industry doesn't have a very good reputation. So like, like how is it for you to be a part of that? And do you feel that there are obstacles for you? Maybe even as a young woman, maybe it doesn't make a difference. Maybe it doesn't make a difference. I just want to know how you feel about that.
I don't know. I mean, I love a good venting song. I feel like Industry Babies, it's not a venting song, it's more like a fuck you song.
Yeah,
I
that's how it
really
feels like.
relate. Yeah, I really relate to that. I mean, I have a similar song. It's called Bar Cloud.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. I love that sentiment because I feel like people who are, I don't know, underdogs. Like in many ways, I kind of feel like I'm an underdog, not just by being a woman, but also like I fucking come from Israel. I mean, English is not my first language.
Yeah.
It's a rare, it has never happened before that an Israeli artist had international success. I'm really coming from, this place, feeling like the industry has mistreated me. I don't feel those things. I don't get victimized by situations. It's just not what I do.
Yeah.
It's always like, in a way, I always bring it back to myself. And I'm like, I just have to do better. And it's not always true. Sometimes you're just not treated well. But I'm always like, all these people are gonna treat me really well when I just deliver something that they cannot argue with. That's kind of how I see life. And then I also cannot even complain because up until very recently, I was signed to City Slang,
Yeah.
the most artist loving and artist friendly label in the entire world. So I never had to go through conflict of, them not supporting something that I find artistically important. That was never the case.
What I noticed was that in Williamsburg, you had two young female Black artists open the show for you.
Yeah.
And while on the one hand, you definitely, and I think your fans too, appreciate the music and the artist itself. It's still an act of showing solidarity and really picking who I want to open up for me, who do I want to invite on my stage. So I'm assuming it's something that matters to you to kind of bring that out there.
No, I mean, it matters to me, but that's not why I chose them. If their music sucked, they would not get on that stage. I mean, they were two incredible artists. I see that this is a thing. I'm very aware that it's a thing, to show support but I never do things from that place.
Oh, gotcha.
Never. I never want to have somebody featuring me on anything because I'm a woman or because I'm an exotic, I come from a weird place, and no. So I mean, I guess that it's great. I mean, I just got a bunch of, options. Some of them, all types of colors, I just chose the one who had the best music that I felt would fit best in that moment. I mean, but, having said that, I know that it is really important when you get to a certain place to vouch for or to help, people who don't get, the same opportunities. But up until now, since I didn't really have that responsibility on my back, because I was the one who needed, and I'm still the one who kind of needs to get, get a chance to get an opportunity.
Yeah.
This is purely from artistic reasons. I just find both of them to be like really great artists.
Yeah. and they are. And I think that kind of ties back into what you said about victimization. It doesn't come from that kind of standpoints, but instead it's authentic. It's what you felt to do in that moment. But it was from the outside, it was still, it was a signal. It was a message.
Honestly, as an artist, I'm just used to doing things and then having people interpret them however they want. I have to say something that might be interesting, for this type of, I don't know, conversation. As a young girl, I grew up listening to hip hop. And I grew up listening to Lauryn Hill and Missy Elliott and, a bunch of, examples and, Black artists who are male. This is, I mean, for me, this is just such a what I'm trying to say is that growing up, I would look up to these people, and in no way, shape, or form, I had the knowledge that they might come from, a group in society
Yeah.
that needed to be supported or whatever. They were here for me.
Yeah.
I mean, they are the strongest, most successful people in the world. And only later, when I got to educate myself about, history in America, did I realize how exceptional and how incredible it is that, but I just find it to be very interesting, that when we take out the context
Yeah.
from, from any success story that we see, it can almost feel like, I don't know, it's just, that's how it's meant to be. Color is not a thing. For me, that was never a thing. It was like, this is hip hop. This is the music that I love. And it's doing really great because it made its way to Israel radio and they're blasting it here. So, to even imagine the context. And once I found out, it made me appreciate it even more. But I don't know, I just like to imagine a world where you can listen to or appreciate something without knowing the context before knowing the context. And then, it kind of gives you a pure experience of, I just love this for what it is. And then when you add that extra layer, it's like, okay, I mean, it deepens it to a whole other level.
If you could kind of sum up what you love most about what you do and what you would want to share with people who maybe look up to you or are inspired by you, like how would you sum that up?
What I love the most about what I do, I believe, is that I get to have, the privilege as part of what I do for a living to really reflect on things constantly. That's what I need to do in order to write songs, to be creative. I have to see like what is happening around me in the world, what is happening inside me, how do I feel about it? Many people have to, spend their lives just running so fast and not really having that opportunity to sit down and think like, how am I? How am I doing? Like, how am I feeling about all of this? So it's a really important, I mean, I feel like for me, it's a huge privilege. And what I feel is so important to me when I see that I have, fans who are like, I don't know, under the age of 17, where, that period of time used to be my defining moments of like, who am I and what am I going to take on to my adult life? I mean, it's very noisy, it's really hard to know who you are, how you genuinely feel about things. What do you really think about things? Because you keep getting ideas and opinions and shit thrown at you all the time. And I think that I would love to help, young people understand that the one thing that nobody can take from you is yourself, your inner self. That for the time being, that cannot be hacked by nobody. So I really think that people should be checking upon themselves, like having a moment of just like be with yourself, like without anything else, any device, even if it's a pen and a paper, just like try to get to know yourself, without any context, without the noise coming from outside. Because I feel like having a strong sense of self, sense of identity, having a strong base to come back to when things are so crazy outside is a very important asset nowadays. I'm just scared of everything. And then I deal with it every single day. I get to yeah, overcome fear every single day.
Mhm. Just keep on going, that, and like despite the fact that you might be scared of something.
Yeah, I mean we're all going to be dead very soon. I mean, so if you can't take that so deeply that you're not scared, just, be scared and then get over it. I mean, just do it anyway, because life is very, very short. Very.
Noga, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.